As we flip to our fourth and final page, I just wanted to emphasize again the importance of making sure that you're using your algebraic thinking. That's the point of this unit, not necessarily to be able to determine what the answer is all of the time, and definitely not all of the calculations, but certainly understanding those basic rules for algebra. What are you supposed to do in an open number sentence? How can you solve if that open number sentence is addition or subtraction with a variable in the first or second position? What if it's an open number sentence for multiplication and division? That's what these types of questions are asking you. Not necessarily, can you solve for this blank space, but more so, can you use algebraic equations, algebraic thinking, to solve for difficult types of questions? So when you're asked to insert the missing symbol, I'm not just looking for your quick sense to understand, oh, I know exactly what goes there, but I'm also looking for you to be able to show me that your algebra mind can go to work to fill in the blanks, to fill in for missing variables. So for examples on number 13, 14, and 15, we're balancing equations. And again, we had a three-step process. When we're balancing equations, the first thing we need to do is take what we already know, meaning whichever side of the equals equation has both numbers and no variables, I do that first. So 4 times 3 is 12, which means it has to, whatever I'm adding 8 to, equal 12. So it's going to be 8 plus a variable, question mark, x, whatever you want it to be, is going to equal 12. That's how you can use algebra to solve and to balance equations. I've got to take 12 and 8 and subtract to solve that the question mark here is going to be 4. I've solved for my variable. Now some students get confused because they see at the end, oh, 12 equals 12, which is true, but what am I solving for? This blank space, the variable, the question mark. Sometimes you'll get a question like number 14, where it's still a balanced equation, where they're trying to decide what a balanced equation is, but really all they're looking for is the operation sign. Are they adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Well, again, what you could do is you could try all 4. Take your calculator out, do 45 plus 12, and you'd be able to see that addition is the answer. Or you could use algebra again by combining the 57 with what you know and then the 45 to see that yes, indeed you would be adding. Number 15 is very similar to number 13. Step 1, take the part of the equation that gives you all of the pieces of the problem that you need. So 4 times 1 would get me 4, which means whatever I'm adding to 3 must also get me 4. And how can I use algebra to solve? I set up an open number sentence. 3 plus a variable will equal 4, which means I take 4 and 1 and do the opposite operation of addition, which in this case is subtraction, to get me my missing variable, which is 1. And if you try it out this exact way, 3 plus 1 in your calculator, you will get 4 every single time. So you've got to fill in for those places by using algebra. I'm not just looking for you to be able to solve and be able to tell me, oh, well, this is 4. Well, 3 plus 1 is 4. You need to also show me that you have some algebra sense to solve for this missing piece of the puzzle. In the same sense that we were talking about number patterns earlier on page 1 and page 2, we can also use picture patterns in a different type of way. So in this picture pattern, I want to replace all of these different patterns with letters. When I do that, it's going to help me say the rhythm over and over in my head until I determine what the pattern actually is. The only thing I have to keep in mind is that anytime I have a straight line down, that one is going to be A. For example, I have a square here, but the straight line down is the next in the pattern. So every time I see that straight line down, it's A. Anytime I see straight line down and then one across the top, it's B. When I see what looks like could be an N, that's C, and my rectangle is D. I also told the students to try and find where the starting point is and the ending point. In this case, it's straight A, B, C, D, which means A, B, C, D would continue the pattern, and if I'm filling in the block, because this is the end point, which means this is my starting point, I would have another straight line up. However, you'd have to know, oh, but this is building on top of these 2 other rectangles. So that one line going up, which equals A, would be inside of 2 separate rectangles. But it's still equal to that A. I do the same exact thing for number 17. I'm going to replace each of these symbols with letters. So the pluses are going to be A, the lowercase pluses. The multiplications are going to be B because it is my second unique symbol. The uppercase T will be C, and what looks like a T on top of its head will be D. And now I've got that double lowercase plus sign again, which means that's my start point. Here's my pattern: double A, B, C, D, or AA, B, C, D. Once you've labeled it with letters, you should be able to say the problem over and over in your head, repeat it out loud, and find where the symbols start and where the pattern picks up to be able to solve that this one is going to be a lowercase plus or T again. Because if I have AA, B, C, D, AA, B, C, D, this would be A again, filling in the blank. So I first need to replace each of them with a letter, then find every single place where that letter is, and go over the pattern in my head. Finally, I've reached the last two questions. If I have a word problem, like this one, I can create a number sentence to help solve the problem. If I had $43, but I spent $12 at Chick-fil-A, how much would I now have? I have to take what I know. Mr. Panza starts out with $43. It says that I spent money, which tells me that I'm going to subtract. I put that operation in there, and 12 is what I'm taking out. It needs to give me my total. And this one I could just plug in and solve. And then for 19, I'm continuing the shape pattern using the same exact strategy that I did above for number 17 and 16. It's a circle, it's the first unique one, it becomes A. It's a rectangle, it's the first unique rectangle, it's B. Here's a triangle, it's C. Another triangle is C. Then I'm back to circle, which is A, which means this C is my ending point, and this A is my starting point. So the pattern, as I say it over and over in my head to understand what the rhythm is A, B, double C, which means this is a B, and I'd have a double C. Now don't get thrown off. Just because they want you to fill in one more spot doesn't mean you need to panic. Just realize after the double C, you finish and you start the pattern all over again, which means this would be A or a circle. So I hope you had a chance to go over each and every one of these problems and learned a little bit about the strategies that we've discussed over our algebra unit. If you feel a little shaky on any of these units, I would suggest going back to any one of the lesson videos or try it out videos above on this page to make sure that you're aware of each of our strategies in algebra. I hope this helped for our upcoming test. Have a great night.